So today on Success Excuses podcast, we have Donna McAteer from Global Buzz. Welcome, Donna.
Thank you.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about you and your business and how you got here?
So Global Buzz, we've been running now for almost 5 years. Initially, we started off with just social media management. We've kind of grown now. We focus specifically on hospitality trade, but that's not all of our market. I'd probably say 80% of our portfolio is hospitality. We cover everything from social media management, paid ads, Google, websites, design, events, basically anything towards kind of marketing and events. We cover everything. So it's quite a good market to be in at the moment, considering, everyone kind of needs marketing.
Absolutely. And we're going to talk about that in detail, about the power of marketing. So I just want to let everybody quickly know about how I met Donna. So I used to live in a place called Bellshill. You're from Bellshill.
I am.
And I used to get working early in the morning, and I used to see this it was a big sign you had up on a fence, wasn't it? I can remember it. And it was there for years. And I used to walk by this all the time. I'm talking like for at least 2 or 3 years, I used to walk by this sign all the time. And it was one day and I'm like, all right, we need to outsource our marketing. And I got your number and I contacted you. If you remember, and I'm like, I really need help outsourcing my marketing.
I do.
So it just goes to show that even the power is still having billboards and all the kind of things still work.
Absolutely.
So that's how I came around. I've obviously been following you on social media and things like that since we connected. So I want to go back a little, right? So I want to go back because starting up a business is a tough gig. So go and tell us about how did that come around? How, or even if you want to go back to how you started the market, how did that all come around? What made you want to go do it for yourself?
The interesting thing with that is I was never really doing marketing. I had been working with HSBC for 11 years and I was like taking redundancy. I was unsure what to do because near the end, the last year was kind of getting difficult because I was doing offshore banking and I was travelling all over kind of the UK. I'd also go to St Helier. However, they were changing the whole audit and they were making it go directly to London. So it was slowly staggering it out. And my job was basically becoming obsolete. So they were quite good. They were giving me 2 options. They were like, we can look at another role for you or you can go to London. And I'm like, 30, almost 30. I'm like, nah, I don't think. Maybe 5 years ago, I'm not really ready for that. So near the last year, I got into a lot of the events. So like we did the golf, the Open, HSBC sponsored that. We did the Rugby Sevens. It used to be at Scotstoun. So I got into a lot of the event side and helping kind of with the marketing. And I thought, this is a bit of me. I loved the role that I did. I love being out and about. I love that, building that relationship with clients, understanding what they need. They'd walk into my office when I worked in the bank and it'd be like, okay, I'm moving abroad, what do I need to do? And I'd have a checklist, you need to do this, and we'd get it done. And I thought, I don't want to work a 9 to 5. I want to be out there, I want to be helping people. And that's where I thought, let me kind of figure out if that's something that I'd be interested in. So I did a few courses with them and I thought, okay, about advertising. And I thought, this is something that I'm quite passionate about. So once I took my redundancy, travelled for a wee bit, probably over-travelled.
Enjoyed yourself, of course.
Maybe over-travelled by at least 3 months.
Nothing wrong with a bit of travel.
Well, listen, it was fantastic. It definitely moulded me into the person
it does, doesn't it? I want to talk about that later, but we'll keep going.
We can definitely go off piste.
We'll go off piste, don't you worry.
I love it. So then from there, I was like, okay, I'll do travelling. And someone I knew very well in hospitality needed someone to do marketing for their group. And that's how it started.
Wow.
So I looked after a few bars, a few restaurants, did a lot of kind of travelling between their venues. Again, fitted into what I wanted. I was passionate about it. I loved seeing the results. I loved creating the content. And then from there, I did a lot of courses like from Google, doing paid ads, and it grew from there. However, I then started working for a company in Dubai, and that did actually, I was pregnant at the time with my daughter, my second child, and I also had still a young baby because they're straight after each other.
You were keen there, straight after each other.
Get it out the way.
Done. Is that job done?
That's what it was like. I think I done it the right way though, because it's
there's a wee theme coming through here. Travel, just go for it. Wayne's, go for it.
100% or nothing. That's how I operate, by the way. I'm either going to do it or I'm not going to do it. You'll find that. So from there I was like, well, they offered me a country job when I had my daughter. It was like, once you finish up, there's a job going to be there. You'll do this, etc. And that was fine.
Was that in marketing?
Yeah. The company I worked for in Dubai, it was like an app-based service. So again, it was hospitality led. Basically how it works is you go to Dubai, you have the entertainer app and you get 2 for 1. It's
you
huge
still
out
live there
there
for 12 years.
Well, you'll know how expensive it is. Do you remember the app voucher?
You used to, and you could buy the book.
It was a catalogue.
Absolutely, and you ripped on. We used to buy it. See, when we were people coming over for holidays, we'd buy the entertainer, and that's you give them half price or cheap.
That's what my friend done as well. And you click
Been
them.
there, done that.
Well, you'll know, and how much it's actually saved you money. I think you paid quite a substantial amount for it, but actually it covered hotels, food and drink, everything.
Oh, you made your money back easily, especially if you had people coming over.
Aye.
Because they'd want to go to the water parks, whereas when you live in Dubai, you don't do that all the time.
Aye.
But when you've got people coming over, it's the Burj Khalifa, it's the water parks, so there's always something. So it was you saved a fortune, aye.
Well, the woman who owned it, Donna, she actually changed it into an app. So that's who I worked for, essentially.
Right.
So in the UK, it was like a B to C opportunity, and then they had the B to B, which is more corporate led apps. Anyway, I'm not going to go into this in more detail. But when Amelia was a few months old, and when I was finished maternity leave, I was supposed to be like starting this new role with them. The woman who owned it sold the company, and they'd done a restructure and pulled it. So when I had a baby and a newborn baby, thinking when I finished maternity, also terrifying as it is to go back to work, to then learn you don't have a job, was utterly terrifying. However, normal people would probably be like, oh my God, this is terrifying. I've got 2 babies. My partner's offshore. I'm not got a job to go back to. What am I going to do?
Is that what your partner worked offshore?
Yeah.
I'm ex-oil and gas as well. See all these coincidences here.
And I worked with offshore in
wow.
HSBC. So it's
there you go.
However, I thought, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? And there was a part of me that allowed myself to feel the fear, and not necessarily failure because I hadn't failed, I just circumstances had changed, but the fear of being a mother to potentially not being able to go back to work, who's a workaholic.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, why can't I do it myself? Why can't I set up my own business? That kind of idea, and that's where it came from.
So that was the drive. It was almost put into a position, and it goes back to the success and excuses. So you could have made excuses and just buried your head, but you didn't. You thought, you know what? What's to stop me from doing this myself? And that was the start of it. Where did the name come from?
Well, it's weird because there were so many different...
It's a great name, by the way.
I love it.
It's a great name.
I'm going to rebrand it, but I'm going to keep the name the same. Yeah. And I thought, aim for the stars, aim for the sky.
Global.
Because I thought, I've worked in Dubai, I've worked in HSBC overseas. The business model that I'm creating, essentially, the reason why I did it is if I'm travelling with my kids, or if I did move abroad, I can work from anywhere.
Absolutely.
And I still believe that. I still believe we could still have an office in the Middle East. We could have other ones in other countries. And that's my concept. So I aimed high.
Why not?
And we're still here 5 years later. So that's where the name came from.
Brilliant.
And I actually love the logo as well.
Aye, so did I. I thought it was getting on in the
catchy,
world and all that. Aye, I think it is as well. Because it's so hard choosing a name sometimes, isn't it? I tell this story, right, when me and my wife started this company up. It was in 2017, and we went on holiday to Tenerife. We took a month off, right, in January. So we took the whole of January, went to Tenerife, and we're lying at the pool, and we're trying to come up with these names, and we're trying to be like fancy and come up with like names like Latin and Greek. And I'm just like, that's just no me, right? It's just no me. And the word kept coming up, the power within, the power within, the power within. And my wife says, well, why don't you just bloody call it the power within? And that was it. The Power Within training was born.
Do you know, it's great because it does resonate, because actually it says what it is, essentially.
Absolutely.
I love it. No, definitely. And again, that goes back to your marketing. So you're a bit of a marketeer yourself.
Oh, and that's what we're going to talk about next, the power of marketing. So, as you know, I'm a massive believer in marketing, and we work with loads and loads and loads of small businesses, probably around 200 a year, small businesses. And they, first of all, generally don't have marketing budgets. They generally pop onto Facebook with the odd post here and there, and then their business is kind of like that, right? So they have a really good month, they have really bad months, they have really good months, and you try to say to them, so have you got a marketing budget set aside? No. Have you got a Facebook strategy put in place, particularly for the smaller No, I've not got that. Have you got a LinkedIn? Have you got? And then they're like, no. And I'm like, that's why you don't have any consistency. I says, because if nobody knows you're there, not everybody's ready to buy.
No.
But if they don't know you're there and they don't see your ad, when they are ready to buy, the first thing that you want them to think about is global buzz.
Absolutely.
You want that name to be there, I says, and that's the real power of marketing. A lot of people, I think, and I'm going to get your opinion on this, think that marketing is something you do like the now. I don't. I believe marketing is something you do now for the future.
Consistently.
So go and talk us through that. What do you normally say or see, or what's your advice to in that situation?
I'd probably say it's not a one size fits all. For me, we work with all different companies. We'll work from someone who have an idea and we're designing and we're creating a business strategy, or we have people who are turning over millions and millions and it's a really corporate based lead generated marketing strategy. Whereas if you're asking me if it's a new business and it's localized, you know, it doesn't have to cost a lot of money.
Yeah.
I'm still deeply within grassroots in terms of like marketing. I love helping new businesses because you get so much from it and it's stunning to watch these people. I've been there from nothing, like absolutely zero.
You don't know anything.
You're basically a rabbit in the headlights. And I love helping people with their idea and I love getting invested in their concept and helping them and growing it. So if you were saying to me, hypothetically, someone who's bought a cafe, they're wanting to rebrand it, right, let's go, let's run. We always want to make it personalised. We want to make sure the name's coming from them. We don't want to say, okay, here's a few ideas. Make it personal, tell a story. Is it something within the family? I would make sure you're present on socials. You don't need a huge budget. You can have a small retainer, run it. Consistency is key. Make sure you're doing all your marketing localised. And when I say that, people say Facebook's dead. Well, actually, it's not at all. It's actually the opposite when you're talking about small businesses. After
80%
COVID,
of my business still comes from Facebook and we're 1.6 million turnover.
Lead generation, honestly.
80% still comes from lead generation Facebook.
It's incredible.
The rest is LinkedIn.
I swear, when I say this to you, James, like, there's this mentality, it's like TikTok, yeah, there's absolutely a market for TikTok. 100%. Instagram, definitely, it's picture-led, it's going to be more, it's more TikTok vibes, you know, video-led, as is Facebook. But when you're dealing with people, they buy from people are invested in it. So if you have a local cafe, all you're going to do is get your information set up, make sure your brand is clear where you are, all your localised groups, make it personal. You know, if you're using a social media marketing company, make them post from you. So you're taking the information, we would take the information, we'd make it wholesome, we'd make sure everyone, and introduce yourself, have pictures of yourself. This is who we are. We're family run, we're locally. This is Sarah, this is Peter, we've got 2 kids. We did a similar strategy for a client who bought Dreamcatcher cabins and we made it localised, even though their strategy is UK wide. We made sure that we've got 2 dogs, we've got a couple of chickens, we've not got a clue we've bought this, we're 100% invested in this new business. And you know, the love and support locally, people want to help people. People think, oh, no, no one's spending any money. People are spending money.
Absolutely. And
they'll spend money in a place where the product is right, they love it, it's marketed properly, and they're completely aware of like who it is that owns it. And people genuinely think that they're only the people go to McDonald's. Actually, since COVID, people are going more locally. They're putting their money back into the community, and I'd probably say that's the massive thing. Tying in well the local groups is key for you to start getting an organic reach rather than paid ads.
Amazing. Another question for you.
Go on.
In my experience, right, and I'm going to have a wee go at marketing here, and I want to get your experience on this, right? So in my experience, so we're 8 years, we've now got an in-house marketing team, and we've used a lot of agencies over the years, and most of them come in and they say, yeah, we're going to do this and we'll do that, and they always, and I'm talking about some really big companies, under-deliver. So much so, we actually, just up until late last year, we actually, now when we took a big agency on, right? It's cost me a bloody fortune. And I literally lost my investment. But anyway, long story short, took this big company, this big UK-wide company on board, and I thought, surely these guys know their stuff. Surely.
Yeah.
They talked a brilliant game. I spent 4 hours, right, filling out this onboarding thing. All clients are perfect, you know. I mean, I know my business inside out. So for 4 hours I spent filling this thing out, right?
You're never getting back.
No, we filled it all out.
Okay.
Paid our first month retainer. Sent it to them. Now I'll probably say this was in October last year. No, September last year. October they were supposed to start the campaigns. It never actually started until November. And in November I said to Mum, because I had 2 marketing girls, I said, don't turn off our ads. Let them run them. Should we actually set up a Facebook for trial test and a LinkedIn trial test? Yeah. And I says, just run them side by side. I says, because I'm not turning ads off, because our experience previously was we turn our ads off, we turn their ads on. They've performed terribly, my business takes a hit, right? You know how market works. If your business is reliant on market, which is ours is, you know, we've got a massive monthly spend. And you can see as soon as you get a bad ad or it just drops off. And I don't feel it that month. I'll feel it 2 or 3 months down the line. Anyways. So the very first meeting, so they started the ads in November, and the very first meeting I had with them, I says to them, they sent me the ads, well, they sent it to my marketing team to approve. And the marketing team says to me, James, these doesn't look right. They've got Z's in it, and you know, and it was ChatGPT. They've obviously been using an AI to generate the ads. Right. And I says to them, look, I'm paying you. You are a big age. I'm paying you all this money. I don't need you to write AI generated content. I've got a team that can do that. I've spent 4 hours writing a plan of all our business, all our ideal clients, our customers, who they are, what they look like, what age they are. Just follow it.
Yeah.
December, same again. January, same again. I fired them at the end of January. I broke we had a 6-month contract and I broke it, and I says, take me to court. I says, because I'm going to prove that you have not done the job you were supposed to do. I was still telling them in January, will you please stop using AI to generate my ads? That's
really worrying, because I mean,
spelling wrong and everything.
American spelling,
aye,
flavour. That's what my pet is, and it's a killer. Honestly, I do believe there's a huge part of marketing that works like ChatGPT hugely.
And by the way, it's okay. It has its place.
But that's lazy marketing, unfortunately, because they're not hands on. Here's a good example. We'll use AI, we'll use ChatGPT, whatever, but we'll use it for specific stuff.
Yeah.
When you're dealing with a marketing strategy, that's the hands-on. The onboarding is hard work. Of course it is.
Absolutely.
But that's what your bread and butter is essentially coming from. For us, we're all hands-on in my team when it comes to onboarding. Any client that comes on, everybody has their part to play in that. So there's no way of cutting corners. And also when you're first running these ads, you have a strategy, you create it. We've done it so many times. For big events, like for instance Glasgow Winterfest, we run all the campaigns for them. Or the onboarding is a lot, but there's a lot of campaigns for a reason, and there's a lot of different touch points and actions to be done. However, you can't possibly hand that over to AI and think they're going to be able to write that copy. Also, even though we've done it for years, when we're running the ads, just because that ad and that strategy worked last year doesn't necessarily mean it works. So we need to always have our eyes on the ball. How I don't know how they've managed to do that. And
this is a huge agency, by the way.
And that's devastating.
You'd curl your toes if you knew how much it was costing me.
That offends me, because someone who runs a marketing agency finds that offensive, because you're then making not us, but everyone is a collective. Industry. Is this how you operate? When it's not at all.
But the other side of the coin, I've also used smaller companies, and generally they come on board and they generally do really well the first 3-5 months. They do really, really well, and then it drops off, and then and I always think, right, as a business owner, right, if I hire a market person, you're the expert. I shouldn't need to keep coming and saying to you, my ads are up an extra £20 a CPL. But why? They were let's say they were at 23, now they're at 45. They should be the ones that should be in there monitoring and checking and modifying. No me.
That's when we do, every month when we've got our clients, right, we'll have our monthly overview, whether it's a Teams call. 9 times out of 10 we go and see the client, or they'll come to our office. That's fine. But we'll sit there and go through the strategy and be like, okay, this has worked well, this worked well, this hasn't worked well, but here's what we've done to accommodate that. We've stopped it, we've regrouped, and we've tried a different strategy. Personally, I feel if something isn't performing and you're making the conscious effort to try different strategies, then you are doing your job right.
Absolutely, I agree.
believe that, because it's better than, and I've seen it a million times, clients go, I've been working with this company for 3 years, nothing's happening. Basically, they're just running ads and just leaving them.
Absolutely.
And I'm looking at them and I'm like, you've had 10 leads and they've cost $15.95 and none of them have came to fruition. So I understand what you're saying, and I think that's the difference. Some people can become maybe too big and they lose really touch, and maybe it's just a kind of, it's almost processing information as opposed to being...
That's exactly what happened with our big company. Okay. It almost felt like, even though we had our own account manager and they were there all the time, it almost felt like, and obviously I'm not going to name the company, but it almost felt like, you're not listening to me. You're not listening to a word I'm saying. Like, what the hell?
And do you know the sad reality of that possibly is, and I don't know, I'm just saying, this person who's working for them might not be able to answer that question. And again,
that's exactly what I thought, by the way.
I don't mean to say
and I felt horrible because, and I actually used to say, look, I know this isn't your fault, right? But you're my account manager, because you know the big companies have got somebody that does the graphics, they've got somebody that writes the content, they've got about 4 different people managing your ads, because they were managing our Facebook, Insta, and LinkedIn. So they were managing they weren't doing our TikTok. We did that in house, and I knew that it wasn't her fault. But she's my account manager, and I'm constantly telling her this. First of all, I was like, why are you using Americanized? Like, I don't have any clients in America. All my clients are in the UK, right? The tonality, right? So about 80% of my business, like you're mainly, what's your main business again in the...
Hospitality. Sorry, I thought you were talking about
hospitality.
Yes, hospitality. Yeah.
Well, we're about 8% of our revenues in construction. So the tonality and the language you use is different.
Completely different.
And I spent all that time explaining this and this thing, mate. And I sound like I'm having a moan fest here. Because marketing can be like that.
You're offloading, it's fine. I'm here for it. I'll be that guy.
It's a therapist session here.
You've got this, mate. I get it.
But that's a frustration for a lot of people. Course. And I wanted to bring it up because as I said to you right at the start, I'm a massive believer in marketing. If you're not out there, people don't know you're there. If people don't know you, you're never going to grow your business. Plain and simple. But it's finding the right company. So if somebody's saying to themselves, you know what, that sounds like me, what questions do they need to be asking? What do they need to be asking their marketing company that they might go to work with? Or what should they be saying to you to make sure that you're the right person for them?
Do you know, marketing is a black market, let's be honest. It really is, because people can sell you the dream. And even if...
Which they've done.
And even if they don't deliver, they're like, well, we've done what we said we were going to do.
Absolutely. Heard that 1,000 times as well.
And I've seen
it's like, no, my problem.
It's devastating, because I think because I'm passionate about it, and when it comes down to marketing, I genuinely love helping people, and I love going on that journey with them and telling the story from my side, you know, and sitting down. Like, for instance, before I go off piece, I have a client who's got like 6 restaurants, have other businesses, and we manage them all. I love sitting down, you know, after a year, we've been together now maybe 4 years, and looking at how far we've grown as a business venture, but also looking at how they've grown, and also essentially how my business has grown. So when it comes to marketing, I'm invested in them just as much as they're invested in me. So I guess, going back to your question, it would be, are you a solid fit? Do you feel like they resonate with your business in terms of what they're offering you? So it's not just like, what can you do for me? It's the other way around as well. So you need to make sure they fully understand your business, because essentially that's what it comes down to. If they're not understanding your need and they're just looking at your business as a business, a transaction, and they're not fully getting you, then what's the point? And that
you do that. I know that you do that. If you think that business doesn't fit in with what we're really good at, you'll just say it's not our gig.
At the very start, that wasn't the case, but I learned the hard way.
Aye, at the very start,
and I
you're
learned
like,
hard to
"Give me
say
it.
hi.
Bring it on, I'll take it."
Say no. I was like, pound no.
You're trying to survive.
Aye, I'm trying to survive. And I was doing an introductory offer, and I thought, I'm going to take as much as I can get.
Aye.
And then I'm going to, and I did.
And that's really how you learn your trade as well, though, isn't it?
And that's how you graft.
It's by taking all that, and then you kind of find your niche, what you really enjoy and where you enjoy it, and I suppose that was probably a natural progression for you, was to go into the hospitality, because you love being out there, you love with people, you love
genuinely love eating out, genuinely love
I know I see you all the time when there's Insta, you've always got your pictures of your dinner and your
I'm
not a stalker, by the way.
I don't necessarily share the food that I make, may I add. Don't ask my kids. But no, I'm genuinely passionate about hospitality. I really am. Years ago, my ex had a restaurant. We lived above it. It was a seafood restaurant. I loved it. I loved being in it. I loved being part of it.
I love seafood.
Oh, it's my favourite. Don't get me started.
I was in St Andrews at the weekend and I went to the seafood restaurant.
Did you?
Oh my holy don't get me wrong, I nearly regret when I seen the bill, but oh my God, even the wine.
Well,
anyway, talk about that later.
Can I just quickly say Crab Shack Botanics is my number one.
Where's that?
Vinicum Street in the West End, just off Byers Road. I go all the time, and the staff are amazing. Anyway, sorry, I digress. You can cut that out.
We'll get a big tick.
A big tick. It's the best. So where were we? In terms of like bringing on a marketing agency and talking about, are they good for my business, etc. I think the most important questions would be, do they understand your trade? Mm-hmm. Don't give them the information. Is this something that they already deal with? Do they deliver in this? Show me what good looks like. Mm-hmm. Give me an idea of what you're creating. And again, that's one question. Just because they work with them doesn't necessarily mean that they're the right marketing agency for you. Because again, it's not one model fits all.
Correct.
So there's lots and lots and lots that you would have to question before you even get down to even putting a proposal together and giving them that information for your business. Budget is important as well. I see marketing agencies that will say, okay, what's your paid advertising budget? No problem. And then they'll add on their fee on top of that, which is mental. So there's so many things that you have to, and I think the first one is for them to fully understand your business before you do anything. And that is the key, because there's so many out there, and each individual one, even though they might not realise it, they do specifically do something really, really well.
Yes, I agree.
And that's it.
I agree with that 100%.
So my marketing agency, we might not be very good at this part, but what we're very good at is this and this and this. We can still deliver it, but we're not the best in the market. And I'm very honest with that. We can still deliver, but there's other places or other companies that do it.
And I think when you find your niche also, even though I know that you do more than just one thing, and you do, but I think when you find a niche that you enjoy working in, you get better at it. And you get better at it because you understand the customers and the clients, and you just, as you said, you're a foodie anyway. Aye. So what a great industry to market.
Aye.
Do you know 100%. What I mean? It's a brilliant industry to market.
Yeah, like we have other companies, like a lot of commercial corporate businesses that will run ads for, and we'll do their content, and we're quite hands on, and we do it, and we do a good job. But because even probably one of my staff is actually a food blogger, and other people in it are passionate about hospitality as well. And we've got ages from people at uni 19 to mid-20s to mothers in their 30s. We cover all kind of aspects of people. So I think that's one of our unique selling points. And every single person genuinely loves the hospitality trade. So that's something that we are passionate about. And see, when we go out on our content days, you can feel that when we're there. Everyone's fully into it. They love it. There's someone in the kitchen doing content. There's people interviewing. There's videos getting done with cocktails. We're setting up, and we're setting up there for 2 hours, and we're getting everything that we can get. And that's our feedback from our clients. Like the staff buzz off us, and it
buzz.
Aye.
Global buzz.
See what I've done there?
we get there.
So that's why I'd probably say, and like for instance, we've got clients that started off with like 2 restaurants, and now like they've got 6.
Oh, that must be some buzz.
It is.
I did there. See what I did there.
It is, and I love that journey. And And it's to think that, you know, we started with them when they maybe just had 2 wee places, like a wee cafe restaurant, and then they've got loads. So yeah, I'd probably say marketing is important, and if you're investing in a marketing agency, you need to make sure that they're fully invested in you.
Love it. I want to go back to something you mentioned about the early days. About the taking everything, about that. I always talk about the micro business market, right? I always say it's like you're in a shark pond and everybody's wanting a bit of you, right? Everybody's wanting a bit of you. There's coaches for this and there's this for, and everybody wants a bit of you. Everybody. Talk about those early years. What was it like starting up the business? So when you had the kids, you decided you were going to do it for yourself. I want to talk about the challenges that you were facing and the doubts that you overcame.
I think what I would say before I have this conversation is people always say...
She's prefacing it.
People always say, oh, you're mental. You've got a baby and another, well, toddler essentially when she was a couple of months old. And I'm like, what were you thinking? But see, at that time, after that happened with my job becoming completely obsolete, I never thought of failure. I thought it was almost like a eureka moment, like this is what I want to do. I was like, this is what I want to do, and I knew in my heart this is what I want to do. So, you know, people always go, oh, I don't know, I'm a bit nervous, and I don't know if I should do this. I can genuinely talk from experience. I'm like, why be scared of failure? Actually, what if it doesn't work? What's next in the road?
What are you going to learn?
What is this mentality where you think, oh, what if I fail? Well, what if you fail? You're going to then go back to the drawing board, think, okay, this didn't work well. You're always learning. This didn't work well.
Think how much you've learned.
I put myself right in the deep end. I learned a lot. I probably added 10 year on, took 10 year off my lifeline and added 10 year on visibly.
Listen, I used to have your colour before I started my business.
My hair's your colour, if you're honest.
I just don't hide it anywhere.
I need to. But no, genuinely at the start, I was like, I really did put myself out there, and I was like, look, I've taken redundancy from the bank. This is my history. So I started the business and I put myself out there. And then essentially what I did then is said, this is my offering. This is what I'm going to be doing. I'm based, the wee offices in Bellshill at the time. And honestly, I was inundated. I'm so grateful. Like, so many people supported me.
Wow.
I'm not even kidding. Like, I remember doing the post. Actually, before I announced it, I said, I'm setting up a company. Here's 4 logos. What do you all think? And I shared it on Facebook with all my friends and family and Instagram. And everybody's like, this is amazing. You're mental, but this is amazing.
You need to be mentally start a business.
And then actually everyone helped me pick my logo.
Aye, wow.
So that was the start of it. And I know you think that's just a wee thing, but that was me kind of going, hello.
Aye.
I'm dipping my toes in. Hello. Hi. So that worked and it was excellent. And then I did the big announcement and the support was unbelievable. Like, I had people tagging people, you know, my friends starting a business. And I did mention, you know, even if you're a small business or a bigger business, I'm here to help. And it grew so quickly. So
well done,
quickly.
you. Because I had the bloody opposite.
It grew so I was right out my depth. So I would have liked to have done it in tranches.
I but
didn't,
you just bring it on.
Didn't know how to say no. Didn't know
That's
how to say
a magic
I was
word,
drowning.
isn't it, in business? You need to know when to say no.
I've learned.
Aye.
I have learned. You say the hard way, but again, I'm still grateful for that experience.
Absolutely.
I really am. And it did get to the point where I brought in a new member of staff, and I find staffing really difficult in marketing at the start because people...
Staff in general?
Oh, no, staff in general. I mean, in hospitality, it's a different animal altogether, God bless them. But I found that I was getting all these CVs through and Indeed, and everybody's a marketeer.
Absolutely.
And when they turn up, they've got a nail business, and they post... and they don't have any experience, and that's the truth. And then I had people who were at university doing marketing, but they didn't have the experience, or they specialise in a specific type of marketing.
Yes.
You'll know what I'm talking about. You've got your own marketing team, you understand that. But there is this place for them. But at the start, when it was just social media marketing and ads, I was training them up on how to do the ads, which is fine.
You're looking for an all-rounder, basically.
I'm looking for someone who'd already been doing the role, maybe
Absolutely.
have a passion for making content,
Yeah.
who really want to be on board, who don't want to sit in an office. There's people who I've employed who want to sit in the office, who just want to do the paid ads, who don't want to be out and about, who are not a people person. Brilliant. Like my web guy, he's like that. He's no wanting to go and see clients. He doesn't really want to even go on a Zoom call.
Just wants to do his thing.
He just wants to do his job, and that's wonderful, and he's very, very good at it. So it's not, it's not, okay, this is your job and this is how it does. There is a different market for everyone in agencies. And what I was looking for at that particular time was someone who is, and by the way, personality is a huge thing.
Absolutely.
I'm very much out there talking to my clients. They can phone me, maybe not at 9 p.m. on a Friday, which
but most of the time.
But I love it, and I am like that because that's how it is, because I am the face of my business. I find it hard getting staff who are there because people just want to deal directly with you, and I'm like, I'm getting there.
It's
Global
hard
Buzz
though,
is a
isn't it?
business.
It's a business, exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. So I set up my business with me and my wife. So for the first 3.5 years, it was just us two. And then you get bigger and bigger and bigger, and then you bring on staff, and people are like, no, but I want you to do the training programme for me. Like, I don't do the training programmes anymore. I'm bringing on staff. That's hard to let go of as well, though.
Yes.
See, because I still build all our content. So because I build all our training programmes, I then train somebody how to run them, and then I let them go do their thing.
Yes.
See, getting to that point, because you're always critiquing them, you're going, oh, they're not saying that right, or they're not doing that. But you need to let them.
You need to let them.
Because I remember when I first stood up and did my very first ever workshop, right? Because I've not got a training development background. I was oil and gas. I was a senior leader, but I had zero experience in running a training programme. None. And I remember running my very first programme. It was the 14th of November 2017, and it was at Doubletree Hilton in Bells Hill. That was my very first training programme.
Wow.
And I had 6 paid and 6 free places. The paid covered the cost, and the 6 free places I gave them to like business owners, medium-sized businesses. I thought, if I can get them on board, right, we're in. And I remember running it, and I remember just before it, I was in the toilets, right, and I was sitting and I was shitting myself. I was sitting going, come on, James, come on, you can do this. You know more than they do. You built the programme. I had to psych myself up. I was shitting myself.
That's because you care. Like, see if you don't have those nerves.
I still get it.
I love it.
I still get it.
I like that nervous
still
feeling.
get
It gets me. I'm like, let's go.
I still get it.
I was like that before I came in here. I was like, I'm a nervous wreck. Oh my God. And then I'm like,
it's only James.
yeah, it's just James. It's fine. That's genuinely what I was doing.
I still get it. I mean, I don't run programmes very often any longer, but like we've got a big contract with the Scottish Government, and one of our contracts, they only want me to run it. So on Thursday, I was in Glasgow last Thursday running a programme for Scottish Enterprise, a leadership programme, and I was running it, and I still get the nerves. And it's my content. I built it, I designed it, I developed it, and I still get that. But I like the nerves now.
Yeah.
I quite like that feeling. And you know what I love, and you probably get the same with your customers and clients. See, when you've done a really good job, they'll look in their face. That's priceless, isn't it?
You're standing there like that. I do love it.
Dog's bollocks.
Honestly, I do. But that's essentially, that's what it's all about.
That's what it's all about. Aye.
And if you don't have that passion, then what's the point? Genuinely, like I do get it, but that does come back to what you're saying about, building the business and people invested in you. And I've been trying for the past 18 months. I've given everyone, well, we all agree, like, this is your USP. You look after this part of the portfolio. Like the managers, you do this, you're very good at that, and we're all agreement. And I'm like, I'll go to all the meetings, I'll have the conversations, we'll do the end of month, I'll still do that. I cannot help myself but still go on shoots. I am murder. But I also, and then I'm like, be kinder to yourself, because this is the part that you love. This is the part that you're falling in love with. So then I've learned to say, you don't have to just, if you still feel like you don't have to pull yourself way back, still go on the shoots if you want. You do you. And I do love it. But that's because if I take out the fun part, then...
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. And that's why I still keep my toes in the water, because... Yes, I'm busy running a business and growing a business, but I started this for a reason. and I'm so passionate about what I do. I mean,
You can tell.
I am so passionate about the business, and the fact that it's still growing and growing and growing. There's sometimes you're kind of like, right, where do we stop growing here?
You do.
You know, where
you wake
do you
up
stop?
someone, you catch, you go, what? Wait.
Especially when you've got employees. Especially when you've got employees.
Especially when it's paid.
Oh dear me. That's another thing. Right, we take all the risks, right? But we also get rewarded for those risks. But I think what a lot of people don't understand is the sleepless nights. The weekends, I know you're young kids and you've got young kids and you're like, oh, I need to get this done, and oh, can you just not take the kids? You know, I need that, and it's a Saturday afternoon. Most people, unless you're a business owner and you've started up a business, they don't really understand the sacrifices that we make, don't they know?
That's a really good point, because like I was saying at the start, the kid's dad, he was offshore, so 4 weeks on, 4 weeks off? I can't remember. 3 weeks.
That's
on,
normally when it's 4 weeks on, 4 weeks off. That's generally the rotation, or and 2 and 2, depends.
And I look at it, right, and I was like working. I'd be getting up. I was still breastfeeding Amelia, my wee one.
Lovely name.
Amelia, yeah. My wee boy, Amy.
What's your wee boy's name?
Amy. It's
Amy.
Arabic. It means much love.
My wife is Arabic.
Is she?
Yes, she's from Yemen.
Is she? Really?
Yes. I met her in Dubai.
Did you?
We worked for the same oil and gas company.
There you go.
Aye.
Mid's Palestinian. So the kids, like, I picked Amelia's name, but he chose Amy's name, which I love. It's so cute. I didn't know that. There you go.
There you go.
So I would be getting up, still working, try to work breastfeeding, but I find that structure worked really well for me and the kids. Believe it or not, people think, oh, let the kids sleep in. I feel like if the kids were in a good routine and I was a good routine, everything flowed much better.
Yep.
So even days that I wasn't like working, still got up at the exact same time.
Yep.
Still done the same process. Even if I had no meetings, I still logged on, still done my stuff. And I feel like that set me in good stead. I think my corporate background really helped me as well.
That routine, this is what happens, this is when it happens, this is how we do it.
Yeah.
I love routines.
And my kids are still in their same routine, they still go to bed at the exact same time every night.
I'm the same, I love routines.
I know. And then, but at the start, like, I would have the routine and they had to have their wee naps before, like, even if I wasn't in the office. Again, structure. When they went to bed, I worked again. Sometimes I was working till 1, 2 a.m. in the morning and I was still up at 6.
Absolutely.
But I never even thought about complaining. You just done it because you wanted to do it. I think that's the difference between being passionate about something and wanting to do something.
Aye.
And when people don't want to do something, they're going to be like, oh God, I don't wake up at this time.
I was up. Excuses. We make excuses.
We make excuses. You did.
And that's what this is all about. It's we have choices, right, in life. And as a business owner, you have to choose success. You have to choose. A lot of people, initially it feels like the hard path, but it's actually the easy path, because you know at the end of it there's a reward. And I always think the hard path or the easy path is the ones that or the hard path that we think's the easy path is the path it never ends. Do you know what I mean? Because you're not putting yourself out there. You're not willing to do what other people, won't do. And I think it takes a lot of guts.
It's mindset as well. Genuinely, when I say it, but it is your mindset, because even then, I swear, we speak about this a lot. I was so convinced that I'd convinced myself that I was going to do this. And I never thought that if this doesn't work out, because I hit the ground. And when I was speaking to people, they believed in me and I believed in what I was going to do. So I never doubted myself. I swear when I say this to you. And I have more doubt now because I've got so many staff, because I worry too much. I'm a people person. I'm invested in them. So then I never saw any risk. I was like, I'm going to do this. So see, when I think about now and I think about when I started the business, I'm like, how did I do that? And that's what it comes down to.
I know. You did,
that's a different version of myself now, right?
But you still get the mindset. You still get the routines, because you need to have it to continue to grow.
Me,
absolutely.
So that's what everybody says. You are mental, and I'm like, maybe I am. I love
probably
it. Whatever you want to label it as, but I done it. So so I'd probably say those are
Mindset's
key.
huge. Honestly, absolutely huge. It's what I teach. You know, everything is down to mindset. You know, if you think you can, I think you can't. You know, the whole quotes. It really is down to, if you believe in, and that's another thing, you really need to believe in yourself, don't you? You really need to have that self-belief.
You need to invest in yourself. You
Absolutely.
need to take care of yourself. You need to make sure you're comfortable in your own skin.
Yes.
You cannot create a business and you cannot run, you know, anything successful if you're not 100% invested. Even the days where you don't like yourself and you think, God,
You do anyway.
you need to be kind to yourself.
I know.
One thing that I find is important for me, before I go off piece, I think where I got my mindset is from my dad, from a very, very young age. My dad worked in the oil rigs. He was away all the time.
Right,
He'd come
okay.
back. When he came back, you know, we'd cook together. That's where my love of food comes in.
Right.
Because that's when me and my dad bonded in the kitchen. Taught me how to
Right.
chop. We used to do our thing. We make spaghetti bolognese. It took 5 hours. My dad is like, this is how you make spaghetti bolognese. You don't buy dolmio. You're making your own sugo and you're watching that boil down and all of that. And
But my wife does that. She
Aye.
cooks everything from scratch because that's how she was brought up. She doesn't buy sauces for anything.
Aye.
Everything's cooked fresh from scratch.
that was what my dad was like, and I love it. And that's essentially how my love for food comes from. But my dad was an entrepreneur. Like even though he worked off on the oil rigs, you know, there's a story there, you know, which we could go into. I don't know if there's any point in that, but he worked out, then he came home, and then you know, my dad had the butchers. He had food trucks. I used to actually have a food truck as well.
Okay.
So it all came from him. And, you know, I don't know if you remember years and years ago, there used to be markets on a Sunday.
Absolutely.
My dad had a food truck that used to go down the
Right.
markets. And then from there we had a butcher's, and then in Bellshill chip shop. So like, it shows you that it is actually instilled. I believed that I could because of the way I was brought up.
Wow.
And I would watch my dad's journey from an idea come into fruition and running it. So he would-
Self-belief, hard work, determination,
saving up,
commitment,
working.
consistency.
You know, there was 6 of us. My mum and dad grafted.
Aye.
It's not like, you know, not saying that being an only child, but there was a lot to build. You know,
Yes.
looking after kids, making sure they're fed.
Yeah, absolutely.
6 of them. I know you think, oh, that's a. It was.
There
a
was
lot.
4 of us. I had 3 sisters.
Well,
and we
5.
were proper working class.
Well, we were grafters.
Aye.
We all worked in the chip shop.
Absolutely.
Like none of us. I was peeling potatoes. Don't get me wrong. My dad's like, your face is like Fizz. You're doing the potatoes today. But there's 5 girls and 1 boy, by the way.
Oh, dearie me.
I know, my poor dad, my poor brother. But we all came from that understanding the value of money from a very young age. We were never spoiled. We worked for everything that we got. So I think the idea of everything not being handed to you on a plate is important
Absolutely.
to understand the value of money, especially now. You know, if we wanted something, like I remember being at high school, first year, then I was like, Dad, I want this Ben Sherman shirt and I want these kicker shoes. He's like, cool, do an extra shift in the chip shop. And I'm like,
Baby, that was how my dad was as well.
he's like, what?
If I wanted in and had to work for it, aye.
He's like, there you go. He's like, see if you want to do a delivery shift on Saturday, I'll get you £9.50 and keep the tips. I was like, fair. I was like,
Aye.
actually. And I realised, well, do you know what? I will work. And I think that's why working every single day never ever seemed to be an issue for me. When I worked in the bank, I used to do overtime. In hindsight, I'm like, I never get paid for that, but I would work. But yeah, I think that's also a key to everybody's different, but I feel like that's part of who I am today.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm a huge believer in nature versus nurture, you know, and how you're nurtured can have a huge impact in your life. I also believe that just because you've been given a bad hand of cards, I always think you can change them. I'm a big believer in, you know, again, going back to the successor excuses, you have a choice. Life is full of choices, and it's, I think, what you choose, the path you chose to go down, you've got to own it.
You're totally right.
You've got to own it.
That's like the mindset of me as well, is like, you know, me and my twin sister are completely different.
Oh, you're a twin?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
right, okay.
She's you know, like stay-at-home mum. She works part-time now, but through most of her life, you know, we're almost 42. I think a few years ago she started working. You know, she's got 4 kids, she's married, she's completely content. She's a stay-at-home mum. That in itself is 4 jobs, do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And she was very happy, you know, she settled down at a really young age. And then, like I said, started working a few years ago because our kids are grown up, essentially.
She wanted to keep herself busy.
Completely happy and content with that. I never wanted to do that. I wanted to have a family. I wanted to have my career. You know, I started working in HSBC in the call centre in Hamilton. And I was like, I could have just stayed in as a customer service representative then, but I never ever wanted to. I grew and I worked hard and
driven.
I worked myself. I was
call it
driven. I never ever thought I was going to stay in that job, and I said that from day one. And within 6 months, I was in the branches and I worked my way up, and that was different.
I got bored dead easy. That was my problem.
Me too. I'm like, what next can I do?
I'm still like that. What else can I go up to?
I can sit in the branch. I remember sitting in the branch. I'm like, you've just come out the call centre sitting in the seat. You've actually done all right. You're not just... I'm like, what else can I do now? I swear to God.
Right, we're going to wrap up shortly.
Sorry.
Right, I want you to now think about. So there's somebody they're sitting listening to you, and a young girl, maybe, you know, somebody in their 20s, early 20s, maybe even mid 20s, and they're thinking, you know, I've got a passion for marketing. I'd love to set up myself. What's the 3 pieces of advice you would give any startup, particularly in marketing? What's the things that you think? And I know you've kind of touched on most of them. Yeah. What's those 3 pieces of advice that
for
you're going
someone
to give them?
who would want to get into marketing?
But let's say maybe they've worked for a marketing agency in the past, so they've got a bit of experience, but they're maybe listening to you and going, God, I'd love to have my own agency. You know, all right, I need to start somewhere. So that's they're listening to you and they're thinking, I want to start my own business. I want to get into marketing. I love Donna's story. What's your 3 pieces of advice?
The 3 pieces of advice I would give essentially is believe in what you're going to achieve. Like, believe what you want. If you've got a vision in your head, you have to make sure it's clear. You need to make sure that this is what you want to do. An idea is good, but you need to make sure what you want to do is completely transparent in your own head for you to understand what you're going to do. Understand the work that you're going to have to do.
Tough gig,
yeah. Upskill yourself in everything, even if you're not specialising in a subject, even if that's not going to be part of your role. Upskill yourself to know enough so that you can have that conversation. I'm a firm believer in anything that I do within my business, I'm going to do a course on it. I need to at least learn the basics.
Absolutely agree.
And that's from the bottom up. So I'd probably say making sure you upskill yourself. Whatever you're offering, make sure you're doing that to the best of your ability. Do your own market research, and other people are doing that. See what they're doing and see if you can then add to that. Marketing essentially is taking little bits of everything.
Absolutely.
And trying
a wee bit better.
Aye.
Isn't it?
You can always do better. Everything I look at, I would say, how can I do that a wee bit differently? I'd probably say that those are the 2 main points. And then the third one would be enjoy it. Enjoy the process. If you're genuinely passionate about it, then make sure that you give enough time to relax and don't burn yourself out. I'd probably say that.
Love it. I love the third point is enjoy it.
Enjoy it.
Loving what you do. How good does it feel when you absolutely love what you do? It feels, it's just, you almost feel really lucky.
I get excited about it, I do.
You always feel really lucky.
Like my staffing is there, I'm like, oh my God, that's so client. And then they're all like this. And
I can just picture you.
We're going to start doing our own podcast, but it's going to be based on our clients and stuff. But I would love to do like a day in the life of us, so people can actually see that we do love what we do. And I think when people do see people enjoying it, they go, oh, actually, I want to do that. That looks like fun. So yeah, that's why we do it.
People say all the time, like obviously when me and wife are at business events, and because I'm quite a hyper person, right? I'm like this all the time. I wake up like this. And people will say, surely, and my wife will say,
if you could bottle that and sell it, you'll make a fortune.
My wife will say, he wakes up in the morning and that's what he's like. And that's me until it's sleep time. I'm so hyper. I'm just, and it's passion. I'm always looking for what's next. You know, how can I make it better? How can I make it better? How can I give my customers a better? Because I've built our business, right, on probably the same as you, on the customer experience.
Yes.
My very first workshop, right, I thought I could have had it anywhere, but I had it in the Doubletree Hilton. I put on breakfast, I put on lunch, because I wanted it to be an experience.
I love that, yes.
I wanted it to be an experience, not just a training programme, you know, and that has never left us.
Do you know, that goes back to marketing, and this is one of the things that I say all the time. with clients, especially in hospitality, more so now, people aren't just buying a product, people are buying into an experience. And
Absolutely.
this is what we need to remember.
Amazing.
That's amazing that you just said that. Wonderful. I like that.
Listen, Donna, we're right at the very end. I wanted to say a massive thank you for coming along. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I am excited to watch your journey progress. Thank you.
Thanks, James. Thank you so much.